There is no way y'all looked at those numbers, looked at that rollout, looked at that reaction, and still said, yeah, this feels normal. Because no, it does not. What we're watching right now with Claressa Shields, or should I say Ressa Da Gwoat in music mode, is one of those internet moments where the presentation is trying to scream victory, but the energy around it is whispering something very different. And that difference, that gap between the image being sold and the response people are actually giving, that is where this whole story gets real interesting. And let me say this right at the top so people don't start foaming at the mouth before we even get into the meat of this thing. I am not sitting here telling you I have some court-filed, forensic, locked-in, beyond all doubt proof of anything illegal. That is not what this is. This is commentary. This is analysis. This is me looking at public-facing numbers, public-facing reaction, public behavior, public rollout choices, and asking the question a whole lot of people are clearly thinking but are scared to say out loud. Do these numbers actually match the moment? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Because the real issue here is not even just the music. The music is almost secondary. The bigger issue is what happens when a celebrity steps into a space where the audience can smell inauthenticity from a mile away, and then the rollout starts looking bigger than the genuine demand. That is when people start squinting. That is when people start refreshing. That is when people start saying, wait a minute, who exactly is this for? Now, for anybody acting brand new, yes, Claressa Shields is already a huge name in boxing. That part is not up for debate. Two-time Olympic gold medalist, elite resume, dominant athlete, major personality, somebody who knows how to command attention. None of that is the issue. The issue is that being a star in one lane does not automatically mean the audience will follow you into another lane with the same energy. And sometimes celebrities confuse visibility with conversion. Those are not the same thing. A million people knowing your name is not the same as a million people wanting your song in their headphones. A viral relationship headline is not the same as fan loyalty in music. A loud social media moment is not the same as an organic audience. And that is where this gets messy. Because Claressa has been public for a minute now about the music side. Reports circulated about her teasing songs, teasing a music video, using the rap name Ressa Da Gwoat, and later putting out visuals like Good Life, which she framed around her upbringing, success, and her soft life moment with Papoose. Public reaction to those music moves was immediate, loud, and all over the place. Some supportive, a lot mocking, a lot of girl, what are we doing here energy, and a whole lot of people tying the music rollout back into the Remy Ma Papoose relationship drama. That part matters. Because when an artist drops, numbers don't live in a vacuum. Numbers sit inside a context. And the context here is not, wow, the streets have been waiting for this song for 6 months. The context is, people have been watching this as a cultural sideshow connected to public relationship drama. That changes everything. See, a lot of people online were not reacting to the music as music first. They were reacting to the situation, the symbolism, the timing, the fact that anything Claressa does publicly right now, especially anything that looks flashy, romantic, performative, is going to get filtered through the Papoose Remy Ma saga whether she likes it or not. And that is not me making that up. That relationship storyline has been part of multiple public reports and interviews. Claressa herself pushed back publicly on the somebody's husband framing and said Papoose filed for divorce and is serious about her. That was her position, clearly stated. So now ask yourself this. If the audience is coming to the video mostly because they are nosy, messy, curious, or ready to clown, how do we interpret big numbers? That is the real conversation. Because big numbers by themselves don't tell the whole story. You need to look at the shape of the engagement. Who is watching? Why are they watching? How long are they watching? Are they replaying because they love the song? Are they clicking because the internet is treating it like an event? Are the comments matching the supposed success? Is the share culture celebratory or sarcastic? Are people becoming fans of the music, or are they just showing up for the chaos? That is a very different math problem. And this is where internet fame starts getting exposed. Because some people think if a video racks up views, that automatically ends the debate. No, it doesn't. Not in 2026. We're way past that. Everybody on the internet has seen too many weird spikes, too many inflated moments, too many industry smoke and mirror campaigns, too many clips being forced into relevance, too many people trying to manufacture a look-at-me winning screenshot before the culture actually decides whether it cares. So when viewers start saying the numbers ain't adding up, what they're really saying is this: the emotional temperature of the room does not seem to match the scoreboard being presented. That's the sentence. Because if something is truly catching fire in a natural way, you usually feel it everywhere. The memes line up, the fan excitement lines up, the casual chatter lines up, the reaction ecosystem lines up, even the hate feels like real heat. But when a video appears to be doing one thing numerically while the surrounding conversation feels mostly skeptical, sarcastic, or detached, people get suspicious. And honestly, that suspicion is not irrational. It's internet survival instinct. We have all seen too much. Now, let me be fair here. There are perfectly normal explanations for a disconnect between views and vibe. A polarizing public figure can generate curiosity clicks. A celebrity from another field can get heavy one-time traffic from blogs and drama pages. A relationship controversy can drive viewers who don't care about the song at all. People can hate watch. People can click just to verify whether something is as bad or as awkward as social media says. Media pages can embed the video or discuss it, pushing traffic from outside the core audience. A fan base from sports can show up out of loyalty, even if they're not music fans. All of that is possible, but possible does not mean people won't ask questions, especially when the branding starts feeling a little too polished for a music career that still doesn't seem culturally rooted. And that's the part I need everybody to understand. The internet does not just judge the content, it judges whether the ambition feels earned. Claressa's problem in this music era is not just that people are listening critically, it's that people are looking at the whole package and asking, is this a real artist journey, or is this celebrity side quest branding dressed up like a movement? Those are two very different things. A real artist journey usually looks messy, gradual, community-built, and sonically undeniable over time. A celebrity side quest often looks like instant visuals, instant declarations, instant image building, instant positioning, and a whole lot of effort to skip the part where the audience decides whether they actually want this. And when people feel like somebody is trying to skip the line, they get ruthless. Especially online, especially in Black internet culture, especially in hip-hop adjacent spaces, especially when the person already carries public drama and public confidence at the same time. Because confidence without consensus makes people want to test you, and oh, do I have more for you. Here's where the thing gets even more awkward. The public reaction to Claressa's music has not existed as some isolated art conversation. It's been mixed up with jokes, relationship commentary, people accusing her of doing too much, people saying she's obsessed with optics, people tying her every move back to Remy Ma, and even people joking that Papoose must be writing the bars. WDKX's summary of social reactions captures exactly that kind of energy, from girl just box to people saying it feels fake or overly calculated. Now think about what that does to a rollout. That means the audience is not entering through the front door of music appreciation. They're entering through the side door of cultural gossip.
And once that happens, everything becomes symbolic. The outfit becomes a statement. The captions become a statement. The visuals become a statement. The release timing becomes a statement. The person featured becomes a statement. The numbers become a statement. Nothing is just content anymore. It becomes a referendum. That's why the suspicious numbers conversation won't go away even if nobody can definitively prove anything one way or the other, because the numbers are being judged not only against raw reach, but against credibility. Do people believe this music moment is real? Do people believe this audience is authentic? Do people believe this identity is organic? Do people believe this rollout reflects genuine demand, or are they looking at a celebrity forcing a second career into public existence with sheer willpower and visibility? That is the actual trial happening in the court of public opinion. And Claressa, whether she realizes it or not, walked right into the worst possible setup for winning that trial. Because the internet already had a character role for her. Not a boxer, not an artist, a storyline. That's brutal, but that's the truth. Once the culture reduces you to a storyline, every move you make gets interpreted through that script. And right now, the script around Claressa is not respected emerging rapper, it's more like successful athlete in the middle of highly public relationship drama trying to add music to the spectacle. That's harsh, but tell me I'm lying. Now, some of y'all are going to say, why can't she just do music? Why does everybody have to hate? She can do music. Of course she can. Anybody can explore another talent. That is not the issue. The issue is that once you make it public, once you drop videos, once you push a persona, once you lean into the branding, once you make the audience watch the rollout in real time, then the audience has every right to evaluate whether it feels authentic, whether it sounds good, and whether the success metrics look natural. That's not hate. That's the market. And if you really want to get uncomfortable, let's go one layer deeper. Because what if the problem is not even Claressa specifically? What if the problem is that we are living in an era where metrics have been so overused, so manipulated, so screenshot-driven, and so central to the performance of success that nobody trusts a number by itself anymore? That's the bigger story here. The streaming era did something nasty to culture. It turned numbers into theater. Everybody wants to post the score. Everybody wants the look at me moment. Everybody wants receipts. Everybody wants analytics. Everybody wants the image of motion. But sometimes motion is not momentum. Sometimes traffic is not fandom. Sometimes visibility is not support. Sometimes a view is just a glance from a skeptic with a smirk on their face. That is the hidden truth of this whole digital economy. And once people learned that, they stopped being impressed so easily. So even if Claressa's numbers are entirely explainable, entirely normal, entirely traffic-driven by celebrity curiosity, the public still may not buy the meaning of those numbers. That's the killer. Because in entertainment, the meaning is everything. A number means the culture cares. Or it means people came to laugh. Or it means blog pages pushed this. Or it means there's a real fan base here. Or it means the drama sold the click. Or it means this person is forcing a launch. Which meaning wins, that depends on credibility. And credibility is exactly what people are contesting. And speaking of credibility, let's talk about the Papoose and Remy Ma angle, because you cannot separate this from the media climate around Claressa right now. Multiple public reports framed her relationship with Papoose as part of an ongoing public tension, including Claressa's own public defense of the relationship and Remy Ma's direct or indirect responses across posts and lyrics. Vibe even reported on Remy Ma appearing to send lyrical shots connected to the situation. Now, why does that matter? Because controversy can inflate attention while simultaneously destroying legitimacy. Read that again. Controversy can inflate attention while simultaneously destroying legitimacy. That is the trap. You can get clicks from the mess. You can get discussion from the mess. You can get curiosity from the mess. You can even get first-week traffic from the mess. But you may not get respect from the mess. And if the public doesn't respect the moment, then every success stat becomes negotiable in their minds. That is why this conversation isn't dying. Because to a lot of viewers, Claressa's music rollout doesn't feel like an artist being discovered, it feels like a pre-existing celebrity bringing her whole headline ecosystem with her and trying to convert that into music heat. And when that happens, people become statisticians overnight. They start checking comments. They start comparing engagement. They start asking where the organic excitement is. They start watching the like-to-view balance. They start seeing if clips from the video are actually traveling outside the source page. They start asking the deadliest question in internet culture. Who is really running this up? And no, I'm not answering that definitively. I'm telling you that is the question living in the room. Now, let's hit the pattern interrupt, because this is where the conversation stops being about Claressa and starts being about the whole machine. The entertainment business has trained people to perform success before success is culturally settled. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is basic rollout strategy. Put the visuals out fast, flood the timeline, package the message, lean on media amplification, turn curiosity into traffic, turn traffic into screenshots, turn screenshots into narrative, turn narrative into perceived legitimacy. That pipeline exists. And the reason audiences are so cynical now is because they have watched that pipeline too many times. So when somebody with existing fame drops a music video and the temperature around it feels mixed, but the numbers arrive looking cleaner, louder, or more triumphant than the public mood suggests, the audience doesn't say, "Congratulations," the audience says, "Explain it." That is where Claressa is at. She is being asked to explain a feeling mismatch, not necessarily a numerical impossibility, a feeling mismatch. And those are the hardest to beat, because vibes do not require spreadsheets. The culture knows when something feels off long before it can prove why. That's why some launches collapse even with promo. That's why some songs go nowhere even with headlines. That's why some celebrities keep trying to enter music and never truly become artists in the public mind. You cannot spreadsheet your way into cultural belief. You have to earn that.
Now, let me lighten it up for a second, because this whole situation also has a level of absurdity to it that is almost performance art. You mean to tell me a world champion boxer, somebody who could literally beat the brakes off most human beings walking this earth, is now in a position where the internet is not talking about her jab, not talking about her resume, not talking about title belts, but instead is arguing over whether her music video numbers feel weird? That is insane. That is internet culture in one sentence. A decorated athlete becomes a case study in rollout skepticism because the relationship drama, the rap persona, the public commentary, and the branding have all merged into one giant online soap opera. And the worst part? The internet loves this kind of transformation. They love when somebody powerful becomes debatable. They love when achievement in one field collides with uncertainty in another. They love watching confidence get stress tested in public. That's why this is moving the way it's moving. Now here comes the truth bomb. I do not think the biggest danger to Claressa Shields' music journey is bad bars. I do not think the biggest danger is even people clowning her. I do not think the biggest danger is one suspicious numbers conversation. The biggest danger is this. People have already started viewing the project as optics first and artistry second. That is catastrophic for longevity, because once the audience decides your rollout is about image management, relationship branding, or ego proof of concept more than music, then every release has to fight uphill against disbelief, and disbelief kills replay value. A person might click once to see the circus. A person who believes in the artist comes back. That is the difference between traffic and traction. And one person making noise in the comments section about the numbers ain't adding up is not the issue. The issue is when that sentence becomes the hidden soundtrack under the whole rollout. When people start watching the score more than the song. When the conversation around the content becomes more compelling than the content itself. That's when the artist loses control of the frame. Now, to be fair again, Claressa does have one advantage. She is already famous enough, bold enough, and headline-worthy enough to keep forcing attention. A lesser-known person would have been buried by this kind of skepticism. Claressa can survive longer because she already has a built-in spotlight from sports, celebrity media, relationship coverage, and social conversation. That's real. But here's the catch. Surviving attention is not the same as converting it. And if she really wants this music lane to become more than a viral subplot, at some point, the rollout theatrics, the relationship buzz, the internet arguments, and the "wait, what are these numbers" conversations all have to take a back seat to one thing. The music itself becoming undeniable. Not discussed, not memed, not side-eyed, undeniable. That's the only escape hatch. Because if the next release also gets greeted with sarcasm, suspicion, and discourse before it gets greeted by musical respect, then the public has made its verdict clear. This is not a music movement. This is content, and content burns fast. So, where do I land on it? Here's my honest take. I think the suspicious numbers conversation is less about hard proof and more about low trust. I think people are reacting to a mismatch between claimed success and perceived authenticity. I think the relationship drama attached to Claressa's public image is making every music move feel more theatrical and more contested. I think curiosity traffic is very real. I think hate click traffic is very real. I think celebrity carryover traffic is very real. And I think in the current digital era, none of those things automatically translate into real musical momentum. That is my position. So if you ask me whether the numbers add up, my answer is more complicated than yes or no. They may add up mechanically, but to a lot of viewers, they do not add up culturally. And that distinction is everything. Because culture is not a calculator. Culture is a trust exercise, and right now, the trust is shaky. That does not mean Claressa can't turn it around. That does not mean she can't sharpen the music. That does not mean she can't slowly build something real. That does not mean every number has to be fake just because people are skeptical. But it does mean the public is no longer willing to take stats at face value when the surrounding energy feels manufactured, messy, or disconnected from genuine fandom. That era is over. One person can post a view count. The audience will still ask who stayed. One person can post a milestone. The audience will still ask who cared. One person can post a polished rollout. The audience will still ask what was organic. And Claressa, whether she likes it or not, is now being judged inside that exact framework. So no, this is not just about one video. This is about what happens when public drama, celebrity ego, cross-lane ambition, and internet metric culture all collide at the same time. It becomes bigger than a song. It becomes a test of credibility, a test of authenticity, a test of whether visibility can bully its way into artistic legitimacy. And the internet is grading hard. If Claressa wants the final word, it won't come from a screenshot, a headline, or a flashy post. It will come from dropping something so strong, so undeniable, so impossible to clown that even the skeptics have to shut up and play it again. Until then, every number is going to get a side-eye. Every rollout is going to be dissected. Every win is going to be cross-examined. Because once the audience suspects the presentation is doing more work than the product, the conversation changes forever. And I really need y'all to understand this. This is only the start. Because if this music run continues, we are going to find out very quickly whether Claressa Shields is building an actual second act, or whether this whole thing was just a loud, expensive, controversy-fueled detour with a scoreboard attached to it. And that right there is the real story.